Greetings, today is Friday, July 21, 2023. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia speaking. At the time of recording this video, it's 7 in the morning local time in the Eastern Caribbean, where we are closely monitoring what is now Invest 95. Before discussing Invest 95, I'd like to mention that Tropical Storm Don continues to move slowly over open waters of the North Atlantic. This system is expected to remain a tropical storm for the next 4 days while staying away from land areas. According to the infrared satellite image, Tropical Storm Don appears more organized, and it is expected to strengthen further in the coming days. Eventually, it will dissipate over the cold waters of the North Atlantic. Now, let's talk about the low-pressure system designated as Invest 95. We also have a tropical wave moving westward near longitude 35 degrees west. We've been discussing this disturbance for several days and anticipated its development towards the end of July. A Kelvin wave passed through the Atlantic region, leaving marginally favorable conditions for cyclonic organization. It's crucial for residents of the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic to remain vigilant about the evolution of this disturbance. An essential point to note is that this low-pressure system is quite small. Forecasting for such small disturbances can be complicated since they are vulnerable to significant changes in intensity, either rapid strengthening or even rapid dissipation as they move across the tropical Atlantic. Compared to yesterday, we observed some areas of thunderstorms developing during the past night, indicating that it has gradually become more organized over the last 12 hours. At 2 in the morning, the National Hurricane Center maintained a 30% probability of development over the next few days as it generally moves westward. We are awaiting the 8 a.m. update, and I suspect they might maintain a 30% probability or perhaps increase it slightly to 40% before it reaches the Lesser Antilles. As for the projected path, there is some consensus that it will generally move westward to west-northwest and should reach the Lesser Antilles by Tuesday or Wednesday. Residents of the Lesser Antilles, specifically from Guadeloupe to Trinidad and Tobago, should stay attentive to the evolution of this low-pressure system. It is expected to pass south of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic in about 5 to 6 days, but please remember that the forecast can change significantly, and it all depends on whether cyclonic development occurs before reaching the Caribbean. A stronger system would likely have a path further north, whereas if it remains a low-pressure system or a very weak system, it would probably move more to the west. This is similar to what we saw in June with Tropical Storm Brett. Now, let's discuss the conditions in this area for strengthening an organization. First, note that it will be crossing over waters with surface temperatures that are quite warm for this time of year. Generally, the waters in this area are around 29 degrees Celsius, which is quite warm and can aid in thunderstorm formation and instability. Additionally, the passage of the Kelvin wave has left more favorable conditions in terms of wind shear. As shown in the GFS model projection for next Wednesday, it forecasts that the wind shear will be quite low in the Eastern Caribbean region. At the moment, it seems that wind shear won't be a major impediment to the strengthening and organization of this disturbance. However, we have other factors that will somewhat limit the organization of this disturbance. The most significant factor is the presence of a dry air mass dominating the Eastern Caribbean. This dry air can occasionally interfere with the development of thunderstorms near the center of circulation. Additionally, being a very small system, it will struggle to shield itself from this dry air. As I mentioned in the past few days, this dry air will be the primary obstacle preventing it from organizing before reaching the Caribbean. Another important factor is the historical trend of few cyclones forming in this region by late July. So, climatology is an important factor we are analyzing, and it clearly indicates that the conditions will not be entirely favorable for the formation of a tropical depression. Hence, we have several crucial factors that we'll be monitoring. The warm temperatures and below normal wind shear in this region may help the disturbance to acquire some degree of organization. However, the dry air will be its major hindrance. Thus, we will have an interesting weekend observing how it behaves in this environment. The uncertainty is reflected in the intensity forecast models. While some models predict gradual strengthening, even leading to a Category 1 hurricane before reaching the Caribbean, others keep this disturbance quite weak, possibly a tropical depression or weak tropical storm upon arrival in the Caribbean. At the moment, I think these models are being somewhat aggressive, and I lean more towards the idea of the models that predict a tropical depression or weak tropical storm reaching the Caribbean by Tuesday or Wednesday. This forecast aligns well with the operational models we'll be observing in the next few minutes. Let's start with the American model, the GFS. In its latest morning run, it shows a tropical depression or weak tropical storm approaching the Lesser Antilles on Tuesday night, passing over or near the island of Barbados. It then moves westward, passing south of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. Additionally, this forecast aligns with the European model, which depicts a strong tropical wave passing near or over Barbados during the early hours of Tuesday and then maintaining a trajectory as a tropical wave towards the south of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. The German model also aligns well with this forecast, showing a tropical depression or weak tropical storm reaching the Caribbean on Tuesday night. Furthermore, the UK forecast depicts a strong tropical wave arriving in the Lesser Antilles on Tuesday night. The reality is that there is considerable consensus among the global models that the conditions are not expected to be favorable enough for significant strengthening, and at the moment, it appears most likely to arrive as a somewhat weak system due to the dry air, possibly a strong tropical wave, tropical depression, or weak tropical storm. However, remember that this forecast is subject to significant changes due to the small circulation of Invest 95, and fluctuations in intensity are possible in the next few days. A stronger system than anticipated could track more towards the north, while if it remains as a non-developing low-pressure system, it might travel more westward. That's why it's important for all the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic to remain vigilant about its evolution. Finally, let's look at the ensemble members of the GFS model. Only a few of them develop a tropical depression or tropical storm, but they do coincide in their trajectory over the Lesser Antilles and then passing south of Puerto Rico between Wednesday and Thursday. The European model ensemble members are somewhat more aggressive, but you can also see that the vast majority of them have a tropical depression or weak tropical storm crossing over the Lesser Antilles and moving south towards Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. Well, that would be all for the Invest 95 update. I will remain attentive during the next few days and this weekend. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're watching this video on YouTube, go to the bottom of the video, click on the red button that says subscribe, then click on the bell icon to receive notifications when I upload new videos. Well, with that, I bid farewell, and until the next update. Goodbye.